Hello, welcome to Dynamic Measure Formatting in Tableau. Now we're going to continue from our last video where we built a parameter to allow the user to select different measures and different dimensions. But I've realized that some of my measures are currency and some of them are integers. So if you choose your measure, you can see that you can either do, the formatting is either all or none. So because this is one field, it can't have several ways to format it. So we actually have to create another calculation to pull that in. But the problem will be that that will be a string instead of an actual measure. So let's work through that and build that out so that what we get is one field that shows a currency or an integer value. Let's start by seeing what the string actually looks like. So if you select anywhere and you say create calculated field, I'm going to call it string measure, and I'm just going to choose your measure. No, wait, selected measure. That's what we called this one. If I hit OK, I can see that it went to my dimensions because it's not a measure. And I can't pull it into the measure values field, so I'll have to put it beside the rows for selected dimensions. What did it just do? What it's doing now is it's actually giving you the string for at the level of detail that the measure is at. So every time that the quantity had changed, it's giving you one line item more because it's not an additive field anymore. So if you did profit, you would see every line where you had a different profit. And because you're doing a string to a currency amount, you're now seeing the number. So that's two issues we want to address. First, right away, is we want to get the level of detail to be at the selected dimension, and we want to see if it's okay formatted for the integer, but for the currency amounts we need to be able to change those. So let's start by opening back up that string measure. And what we want to do, let's create that LOD. So within the string part, I'm going to start by typing a curly bracket. That's how all LODs, or level of detail calculations, start. So I type in fixed, because what I want to do here is I want to fix this sheet at the selected dimension. And that's the only one I care about, so I'm going to type in a colon. And what I want is the sum of selected measures. So now I type the end curly bracket, and I have to put another parentheses. So let's see what that looks like. Wow, now at least it's summing. You see here 31550.37. So it's giving you, it's not even giving you the right numbers. It's not rounding either. So let's put round right here in parentheses. And you can't round a string, so that's why we put it within the string value. So I want to round it to the nearest 2 and put another parentheses. No, I'm missing something. I think I needed to put another parentheses there. Let me look and come back to you. And you probably caught it before I did, but I had a parentheses right here. As soon as I took that off and put it at the end, now it works. This teaches me for doing videos too late. So if I hit apply now, I can actually see that my numbers are rounding. But I still have, this concerns me a little bit. But at least this one's correct now. And so now what I would want to do is you can actually, on top of this, when you create a fixed calculation, it's actually not aggregated. So if I put a sum around this, I am aggregating this. So now I hit apply, and it changes because now instead of a dimension, because I've made it an aggregated field within that calculation, it's now a measure. So let's put that back out on the shelf and see what that looks like. That looks right. Except the commas. We need commas and we need the dollar sign. But the problem that we'll have, let's look at quantity. Let's see how that looks. I don't need, that's not a 2 decimal place measure. So what we can do for this is say that we can create a set, or we can actually pull in just the left values. Let's see, go back to profit, discount, everything looks good. And everything looks really good, but what we want is we're going to want to just grab everything, including the 2 digits after the decimal place for everything, just in case something gets missed. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually, we're going to give this an actual preceding calculation, a nested calc. So we're going to hit an enter, and we're going to say if choose your measure equals 3, because that's the one that's an integer, then string sum fixed, selected dimension, sum selected measure. Else, and this will give us those 2 digits. Now hit end. And now let's see what this looks like. So if I hit apply, this looks fine for here. Go to profit, everything looks fine. Let's go to quantity, and now we actually see this the correct value. For quantity, we don't see the period and the cents. So now we actually have a full string. So what we do next is we have to build in our formatting. So now we're going to create another field. So if you select the field that you're going to create something off of, then hit create calculated field, it'll go ahead and pull that field into the calculation. But now we need to create the string. So what I'm going to do is first go to this selected dimension, I suppose. Hold one moment. Let me see. There's one thing we forgot to do, and this will help greatly within this. We'll actually need to create 2 fields that show us what the dimension name is and what the measure name is. So we want to replace this selected measure, which doesn't mean anything to anybody, with category, and this with quantity. So what we should do real quick is create those 2 fields. So what you can do is go back to the fields that we initially created, selected dimension and selected measure, and we're going to duplicate them again. And what we're going to do is, because they're called the same thing, I'm going to take off the bracket, and I'm just going to put parentheses around each section. So now, and we can rename this selected dimension name, and we're going to do the same thing for selected measure. Duplicate. Selected measure name. Now hit OK, and what you see that goes up to a dimension. So now we can actually create a set. So I want to right click selected measure name and create a set. And I want to, because it's only the one measure at the time, we'll actually have to go to custom value list and type in the things. This is something I want to have for currency. So I want to be able to group everything together for the next step that we need to do with our string. So I want to say custom values would be discount, type it in, and then hit the plus sign. And you'll know that it goes when it comes to the bottom. I hit enter and it just goes away, and it's an issue I run into quite often. So hit plus sign, and we want sales. So now hit OK, and we can see that set applies to things. If let's go to another sheet, and we can select the measure names. It's only going to give us quantity because that's what we've selected, but we'd show that field, and we'll say selected measure name. Oh wait, no, we'll do the currency. So it's out of that set. This is in the set, in the set, and in the set. So it's correct. So what we'll do now is we'll actually create that string, the formatted string. So let's create another, let's go to string measure and create that calculated field. And let's call that formatted string. So what we can do here is we're going to have to start this. It's going to be a nested calculation. So just like the last one where we did an if statement before, we'll do that here too. So here we'll say if currency, because you can actually use a set that you create in a calculation, then I want a $sign. Else, I don't want anything, end. So I do that, and I add together the string measure. Let's see what issue it's throwing to us. That's what I thought it would be. So we'll actually have to put a wrapper around this and say we'll have to aggregate this. So we'll say if currency 1 and if, I don't even think we'll have to do, yeah. We'll say if this is greater than 1, then so this is getting pretty complicated pretty quickly, plus your string measure. But what I want to do is I want the length. So for right now, if I hit apply, I see my formatted string is in the measures. I pull that out besides string measure. So now it looks great. I have the dollar sign, and I do not have it at quantity, but it's not formatted right. I do not have my comma where I need it. So let's see what the length would be. So if we wrap this with length, and then see why it's giving us an issue. Oh, because it's a string and an integer. So let's just see what the string would be for that. So it's you see here you've got 9 and a 10. So we're going to say, we're going to surround this. So we know the largest we get is probably, for sales, it would be for sales. So the largest we get for this dashboard is 10. So here we'll say case length of the string measure. When 10, then I want to grab the left. Oh, helps if you spell it right. String measure. I want, so let's think. 10 would be, I want 1. The very first one, plus, and I have to add my double quotes here and the comma. Let's go ahead and type end and see what this looks like. We should just see it for this one value. Yeah, so we're starting to build it out right. And then we'll say plus the mid left string string measure. We want the second, third, and fourth. So we're going to start at the second, and we want three characters. See what it looks like. And then we will want plus the same, the comma, plus the right string measure, 5. And that should actually give us the cents as well. But I didn't do it right. I need one more. I left out. I did not count the decimal place. And that's why we double check. So that looks good. So let's do, I like to separate mine out so that I know that I'm in the millions or billions or whatever, or thousands. So we'll say when 9, then left string, 3. That's not what I want. I want that. And so let's see, what we should get is 944 and 881. Plus, I want this. There we go. And so when 8, and we just build this out until we get to 3. And we can actually just grab this, the whole thing. And here, I mean, we actually, so this carries down to 7. But when I said we stop at 3, I meant like the hundreds. So now, because we're capturing the decimal and both of the cents, that we can just stop at 6. Else, string measure. So now, when you go hit OK, so now your formatted string, when you go to discount, shows you hundreds, thousands, and everything is formatted perfectly, right at 20 minutes. So thank you very much.